Well, we have some news here that the famous WeWork, or infamous WeWork, is planning to go public via a SPAC deal with a $9 billion valuation. It says here the company expects to close this deal in the third quarter of this year, and they also plan to raise $1.3 billion during this deal. Now, this is very interesting. This is actually news from just a couple of days ago. I haven't really seen it covered too much here on YouTube. WeWork was one of the most famous stocks to go public prior to 2020, but then with everything that happened in 2020, yeah, it wasn't really the best year for them to go public. Valuations got slashed. Investors in that, big name investors in that, institutions in that got destroyed, and yeah, it's been a tough year for the company. And it's actually pretty interesting because if you look at, just about a year and a bit ago, May 2020, SoftBank posted massive losses. They were just getting destroyed last year. Uber was a big loss for them, which, fast forward to now, Uber's hit new all-time highs recently, so that's been a good investment. WeWork, on the other hand, been a private company, so it hasn't really been as clear, but this one added around a $4.6 billion loss for them. And guys, what's crazier is that back in 2019, when the company was, were talks of it going public, maybe we're gonna go, maybe not, and they kept pushing things along, they were looking at a $47 billion valuation. $47 billion compared to a $9 billion SPAC deal today. In just about 2 years, the valuation has absolutely plummeted. Now, is this a buying opportunity? Is this something where you and I as regular investors can actually get into this, get exposure to what could be a decent company long term, and make massive profits back? Do you believe, in other words, that WeWork's $47 billion valuation was justified, and do you think the company can actually get back to that valuation at some point? If that's the case, take a look at this here. $47 billion, divide that by $9 billion. That's a 5x return, guys. If that's true, if that actually does, come back, things bounce back, we start going back to normal, WeWork actually does how it did before, maybe even better, a 5x return on your money, that seems like a pretty enticing deal. And really, there's a lot more to this story, right? They've just been back and forth here. In this article, you can see they had a massive valuation, then they needed a lifeline. WeWork's valuation plunged to about $8 billion after SoftBank extended a financing lifeline to the company. It was just some troubled times with their founder, CEO, because of his erratic behavior, and people weren't really happy with how he projected himself and said things and all that kind of stuff. So not really a great time in the last couple of years for this business. However, things may be starting to turn around. So here we can see WeWork agreed to sell itself to a blank check company in a deal to take the troubled office sharing startup public almost 2 years after it's pretty much, call to fame, really, if you will, and when everyone wanted to get into WeWork. So it says the agreement will merge WeWork with BowX Acquisition Corp. So this is the shell SPAC company, valuing it at $9 billion, including its debt. It'll also raise $1.3 billion for WeWork, including $800 million from a private placement with investors including Insight Partners, funds managed by Starwood Capital Group, and Fidelity Management. So $9 billion valuation, including debt. I'll have to look to see how much debt they still carry. But the good thing is that they're raising $1.3 billion in cash. And that's a good thing. That helps this business, continue its model, continue expanding, kind of bounce back from the lows of 2020, and possibly get back to that previous $40+ billion valuation, guys. In this day and age, when we're seeing businesses just explode in valuation, WeWork could be one that recovers from this. Now, the interesting thing is that you're probably thinking that the stock exploded on this news, and I guess technically it did. It came from a $10 or just under $10 price point to a high of $12. So, I mean, not a huge jump, about a 20% jump on a single day, which is good, but it's kind of been stalling out since. So we're sitting at around $11 now. Market doesn't seem too excited about this name. Investors seem like, I don't know if I really want to hold this. But, if you're looking for some exposure to a possible recovery play, and a lot of the recovery type stocks like hotels, casinos, airlines, cruise lines, they've been bouncing back pretty strong. Some of them have been making new all-time highs recently. If you think WeWork's model is actually going to be one that people are going to use after we come out of all the stuff we went through in the last year, this may be a buying opportunity. Now, my personal thoughts, I think that WeWork actually has a pretty decent model. Personally, myself, I've actually been to quite a few WeWork locations. I thought it was, useful if you live in a major city kind of area, you wanted just a place to work for a few hours. It's a nice environment. People are in there. You get free drinks, snacks, that kind of stuff. But who knows? Maybe now they may tighten down on that with their capital restraints. But overall, it was a pretty smart idea for kind of a drop-in area to just get some work done, have a meeting with business partners, friends, whatever. And I think that we could probably get back to some sort of normalcy with that business model. I think that in general, it has a brand. People still like going to WeWork locations. People still have subscriptions to WeWork even through all of this. And now with office spaces being, something that companies don't really want to pay for, maybe paying for a WeWork membership makes more sense. So this model may be as strong as ever. Maybe it'll actually come back to new highs here with time. But that's all kind of a waiting game. We'll have to wait and see how things actually do play out. That's my perspective, but maybe the market sees it differently, and maybe reality completely different as well. Anyways, guys, just wanted to bring this to your attention. WeWork is officially going public. You can invest in this stock through the SPAC BowX. This is what's expected to merge with WeWork. And like I said, and like the article said, this is supposed to close sometime in the third quarter of this year. So hope this video is valuable, guys. If it was, drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one.